This call is now.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Heal the Industry podcast. I am your host, Ashlee Vance, and I am so excited because today I am honored and blessed to have the most amazing, beautiful light with me on the podcast today, Miss Kelsie. And she is on here to shed some light on the industry and her transformation that she has walked through. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself. Kelsie, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Kelsie. I am 32 years old. I am currently a assistant at Nova Strand Salon. Just finished beauty school in August. Yeah, I'm married. We have a dog that we love and treat like our child. Yeah, and I have a big interest and focus on like health, wellness, nutrition, things like that. We have a garden here at home, so we try and grow like as much of our own food as possible. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
I love it. So today we're going to be shedding some light on a transformation that you experienced about 2 years ago. Would you mind telling our listeners about that decision that you made?
Yeah, so 2 years ago, October, I decided to quit drinking alcohol. It was something that I honestly have been thinking about for some time, like a few years. And then just some things in my life happened, and that was just kind of, I came to a point where I'm like, okay, this is no longer serving me. Like, alcohol is not giving me anything, it's only taking. So, yeah, I made the decision to quit drinking. And then a few months later, my husband also decided to quit drinking. So, neither of us drink alcohol. And yeah, we can kind of talk about what that looked like for us, like as a couple. But yeah, and I, till this day, think that is one of the best decisions that I have ever made for myself.
Mm-hmm. I love that so much. Would you mind telling us what led you to the decision to get sober?
Um, my husband and I had a few fights that started from drinking, like that happened when we were drinking. And that, that had happened in past relationships for me too. And I think the difference was that I knew that my husband and I, at this time, we were engaged, we weren't married yet. But yeah, I knew that I didn't want, like, to me, it sounded so silly to let alcohol get in the way of our relationship, And so I, at that point, kind of had to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that is really the push that sent me to make that decision.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had thought about it, and I've never been able to handle alcohol well. I think just because I'm a small human, and I can't drink as much as most people. So it's, it always kind of made me really sick, and especially as I got older, obviously the hangovers get worse. But yeah, so that was really the thing for me. I was like, I can't lose this relationship for alcohol. Like,
Yeah.
right, no way, it's not happening. So
Seems so silly to like trade like what is something that's so amazing for something that is quite literally so toxic, right?
yeah, and it seems so simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's not simple, but it is at the same time. It's just one of those things. So.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing to me how like it's still today, like putting the two and two together. Like when you put toxic things into your body, you are experiencing toxicity in your life and around you, right? Like you see it through that lens because that's what you're taking in, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I feel like, a lot of people say, oh, people's true colors come out when they drink. And I don't maybe that's true to an extent,
Mhm.
but I can tell you there's been a ton of times I've said things or done things I would never do sober.
Right.
And it sucks, because then you look, the next day or whatever, you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe, or maybe you don't even remember what you said. And you're like sitting
Right.
there like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Like, just, all these things. And yeah.
Yeah, totally. Like so much regret. Absolutely. And
Hmm.
it impairs your judgment, like
Hmm.
literally. So,
Yeah.
um, okay. So when you first stepped into the beauty industry, because I know you're still new, but so far, like, because how far are you into since you started beauty school? Like, how much time have you been in the industry so far?
Yeah, I actually got my aesthetics license in 2021.
Mhm.
And I worked in a couple of different spa settings. Um, and then, yeah, this last year in 2024, I went back to beauty school for hair. So I've been in the industry about 4 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so stepping into the beauty industry, what were some messages or norms that you noticed around drinking and socializing?
Yeah. I will say the first time I went to beauty school, I didn't see a lot of it at school. However, the second time around, I did. A lot of students would go on their lunch break and go over to the bar and get drinks, or after school get drinks. And when I first started doing aesthetics, I worked at a plastic surgery clinic, and all the girls multiple times a week would go out and get drinks. And yeah, every like our holiday parties and everything, like it was always revolved around alcohol, and everyone drank a lot at all of those events. Um, so yeah, I mean, pretty much any social event, there's always been alcohol. It's a big focus.
Mhm.
It's not just like casually there.
Yeah.
Everyone makes sure that there are drinks. And then yeah, to see it at school on like people going on their lunch breaks and drinking, and then like coming back to school and doing hair, it's just like I now that I was, a year and a half in at this point, I was like, wow, like that is something I probably would have done like
Yeah.
fresh out of high school or whatever.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and yeah, it's just it's been kind of crazy to see with a different lens. The first time I went to beauty school, I was still drinking, so
Mhm.
I wasn't looking at it the same way necessarily
Mhm.
um, as I am now. So
Did you feel pressure to fit into those social norms?
um, yes, I think so. Yeah, I always felt like alcohol kind of reduced my social anxiety a little bit.
Hmm.
So um that was always, to me, I'm like, when I'd go out to a event or something, like, oh yeah, get me a drink. Like as soon as I got there, because I'm more introverted, I would say. I'm a good mix, but a little more introverted. And so I always was like, yes, I need a drink. Like and yeah, I did feel a lot of pressure, I would say, especially um a few years ago when I first got out of beauty school. um I was surrounded by a lot of people that drank a lot, and a lot of times I would have to say no, and they'd ask me again, and it's still say no, and no,
Hmm.
come on, please, like.
Yeah.
And even you don't have to drink, and it's like I just don't even want to be like, sometimes I just didn't want to be in the same room as all of that. So
Yeah,
mm,
totally. Totally. And you had mentioned to me once before about like since making the shift, you have more clarity and confidence.
mhm,
And I love that so much. Like, I think people don't realize that that's what's on the other side of like letting go and embracing sobriety.
mhm.
Can you share how this has shown up for you, like on a daily basis, like working behind the chair now like you're behind the chair, before you were in aesthetics, so like kind of comparing the two and how it's showing up for you.
Mhm. Yeah. I would say the confidence that you get when you make a decision like that to do something, because it is a big decision. It's something that it's becoming more normal for
Mhm.
people to be sober, but and not drink alcohol. But um, I think it was something that I didn't expect to
Mhm.
happen, was to have that confidence come from doing that. And because I was, or I am, more introverted, um, I really didn't think that that would be the case. Like, I
Right.
thought I would be more like socially awkward or like more uncomfortable in social situations because I wasn't drinking, but actually the opposite happened. I'm actually way more confident now because I can show up to work and not have the hangover anxiety, first of all, which is huge because that just stays with you for like a good 24 to 48 hours. You can be anxious. And of course, that's going to show up in your work and how you're um, talking to your client, and maybe not even being able to like think clearly. Like I think about if I were to come in, slightly hungover, or even like just having that anxiety after drinking and trying to like formulate color or something, like, I'm just like, that to me now, I'm like, oh, that's terrifying. But yeah, when I was doing aesthetics and I was drinking, I mean, there was a lot of times, I'd drink over the weekend, and my hangovers usually did last like 2 days. So
Mm. Yeah.
I go in on Monday and just not feel great and not feel like super present, because my brain was so foggy, and just the lack of energy. Um,
Right.
but yeah, I think when you can do something, especially, quitting drinking, and
Mhm.
you can consistently go to events and choose not to drink
Mhm.
and get more comfortable saying, like, no, I don't drink, or I don't want to drink, or whatever, and just holding that boundary,
Mhm.
it just is going to build confidence. That's just going to be the result of doing that. Like with anything. Um, so I think that was huge for me. And I think one of the best parts of quitting drinking. Like, I can go out to social events now just fine, way more confident in myself than I felt when I was drinking.
Right. Well,
But
because
at the time I felt more confident. So
right. Well, and like because ultimately you are in control, right? Like
mhm,
you're owning you versus like when you're intoxicated, like you're literally out of control. Like you can't
mhm,
control, you can barely like walk straight, right? Like
yeah.
it's so like I see that so much, and I see that so much in you, like just that confidence and that calmness that comes over you, right? Like I mean, being in the beauty industry, like we all have a tendency to like feel other people's energy, like
Yeah.
and when we get someone's like angst and like it because they're dealing with the like whatever from the night before, and then they're bringing it into the day, and then they know like, oh, I'm just gonna have to go do this again later because I'm so stressed out. I'm so overwhelmed. I just want to numb out, right? Like,
Yeah.
man, I can't tell you like that right there in our industry, that like desire to seek numbness. Ugh,
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
kills me so much. And
Mhm.
like oftentimes from what I've seen, and this is like a whole other podcast episode, but like alcohol becomes like the gateway, right?
Yeah.
To something so much more.
Yeah.
And it makes me so excited to see someone who's young and fresh in the industry coming out and is focusing on prioritizing, like not letting this toxicity in and not being afraid to like just feel and deal is what I talk about all the time. Like
Yeah.
we are human beings. We're meant to feel things. As artists, like we feel things so much deeper, but you got to like deal with it, and you've got to have like strategies to like deal with that stuff. So, my question for you is being, fresh in, and there's so many things coming at you, like you're learning so much, there's so many personalities. You're taking on education from different artists. You're taking on, serving guests and like hearing the things that they're walking through. So like it becomes like a pattern, right? Where you take all that in, but then you go home. How do you shift gears from that and not like seek out numbness, which typically happens in our industry so often, has been talked about. So how do you like feel and deal?
Yeah, that was harder at first, I would say. That was probably one of the more difficult parts. Because even when you don't realize it, you're using alcohol to numb out one way or another.
Right.
And when you take that away, all of a sudden you're like, oh, like, what am I supposed to do now? And when I first stopped drinking, I took a lot more naps. Like, I'm not a napper, but I would just let myself sleep. And I think that helped me because I am more introverted, and, being behind the chair and just even socializing with people is draining for me, and I need to have a recharge time. And so I just would let myself sleep, or just, even if I didn't sleep, just like lay in bed for a little bit. And I let myself rest a lot. And even now, if I'm feeling very overwhelmed or just tired, like, I will just let myself lay down, rest. And I make sure that I do that. And also exercising really helped too. And it's just another step of making yourself feel good, and that becomes an outlet. My mental state is much better when I'm consistently like moving my body, and so that helped a lot, and that's something that I still do. And then lately, I've been trying to do more of like deep breathing exercises to just like calm myself, especially if I'm in a place where I can't just like take a nap. At work, it's a good thing to do at work. If you're feeling overwhelmed, step into the bathroom or whatever and just take some deep breaths. And that helps so much. It's such a small thing, but it really does help. And yeah, another thing my husband and I did at first, this was a big one for him, was we got non-alcoholic beers for whatever social situation we were at. So we had something in our hands. And that just, it really like replaced, it just felt like we were still drinking, without getting drunk. And it really helped. Like, no one asked us, oh, what are you drinking? We have it in like a little koozie, so no one like could see the can, like, and so no one offered us a drink. It made it a lot less awkward and weird. And yeah, so those were a few things that we did. And I can't think of anything else.
I love that so much. Which it's so interesting, like the discomfort that comes up when it's like, oh no, I don't drink, right? And it's like, why is that? Like, it's something to be celebrated. It's like a good thing, but it's almost like the person who is drinking like almost feels guilty, which makes it like uncomfortable, which it shouldn't be. And honestly, if you feel guilty, like maybe like lean in on that a little bit and maybe like seeing, right? Like, well, why is that? And like, what's coming up for you with that? But I would say to you, like, if people are uncomfortable, like, let that be the thing that you have an opportunity to make impact and influence on, right? Like, and move people closer to that, like just sitting in the discomfort of the situation for them, but not it holding space for you, right? Because I love that so much. And I remember back, I did 75 hard. And when I was doing that, like, and I was like, oh no, I'm not drinking. I felt that like awkwardness as well. And, instead I just started to like try to motivate people, by it and like show them what discipline like can do. Right.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of people, when you say that you don't drink, they think maybe that some big thing happened, or you have a quote unquote problem,
Right.
or there's just because a lot of times people just can't wrap their minds around why you wouldn't drink,
Right.
because it is just so normal.
Right.
And so I think that is a lot of where that awkwardness comes from.
Mhm.
And something that I did when I quit drinking, and I try not to do this, is make it a big deal that I don't drink,
Right.
because I sometimes feel, and I think this was um, a reason why it took me a while to stop drinking,
Mhm.
was it's when you say you don't drink, people assume that there's this big thing that happened, or you have a problem or whatever. And I didn't want to ever make other people feel that way. Like, I
Mhm.
want people to just let it be normal that people don't drink. Like, if they say they
Yeah.
don't drink, just okay. Like, no one asks, like, I don't go up to people and be like, why are you drinking? Why do you drink? Why do you drink alcohol? Tell
Totally.
me. Like, you know? So it's just, yeah, I just try not to. I don't even remember the exact day I quit drinking. I don't post about it on social media much. My husband and I sometimes will, like, you know, put a picture on our Instagram story of our NA beers or mocktails or whatever, but I didn't make a big production of it because I don't think that that is necessary. You don't always need to just be like, I'm sober, this was my day, I'm going to celebrate it every year. Like,
Right.
it doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
And I want people to think, if they are thinking about quitting alcohol, no, it doesn't have to be this big thing that you have to share with the world and
Mhm.
make it a big thing. You can just quit drinking.
Totally. Totally. Well, and I love too that you do share that like on your social media, like an NA drinker or so, like because so often like people will like, show that they are drinking, right? So why
Yeah.
not show that you're not? And that is a good thing. It creates the norm around it,
Yeah.
right? Like it removes that like, oh, like to go out and celebrate, you have to have a drink. Like you don't, you
Mhm.
like cheers to my Diet Coke, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
I have a photo on my Instagram of my friend and I, and she's holding a Coors Light, and I've got my NA beer, and we're holding them up together on the boat. And, just, it can just be, you can hang out with the same people if they are still drinking, and
Mhm.
it's fine.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember in my early 20s, like I would always be like the sober one for my girlfriends because I always worked on Saturday and there was no way that I was going to go into work struggle busing because Saturdays are hard enough as it is. But I
Yeah.
also liked taking care of my girls and making sure that they got home safe. That's the nurture in me. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, you don't need to drink to have a good time. Like I had
No.
plenty good time and lots of great memories that I still have intact,
Yeah. Yep.
which is so fun. And you can do that. You can still socialize with people who are drinking and you not drinking. You guys all still have a good time, you know?
Mhm.
I wish that I would see more like celebration of this, like at hair events, right? They always have a bar, but they don't really like have like the fun mocktails either. I remember I went to an event and I was like, well, I guess I'll have an espresso martini minus the alcohol. They're like, okay, so espresso?
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, that sounds good. It's just coffee in a martini glass, please.
Yes, I've done that so many times.
And but I would love to see that more like in
Mhm.
the beauty industry. Like we just had an event at the Oregon Salon location where we have like a mocktail set up and it was so fun and the drinks
Yes.
were delicious, right?
So
Like
good. Yeah.
I wish we could see more of that, you know? Uh,
Hmm.
and I think, having conversations like this and dialogues like this, like in showcasing and celebrating these things too, will help create that shift,
Hmm.
Uh, So I'm curious, for anyone who is listening who feels like dependent on alcohol socially or privately, what would you want them to hear today?
Now, if you're thinking about quitting alcohol, you don't always have to, just make the decision and quit cold turkey. I would say, like, if you're thinking about it, go 30 days without drinking, see how you feel, and just stick to that. See how you feel, see what, how the people around you respond, and just journal about it, maybe even, so you can kind of keep track. And then surround yourself. This is a big one. Surround yourself with people who are going to support that decision, and support you. That's huge. I definitely changed some of my friend group, and having my husband quit drinking a few months after me was huge for me. It was so much better when I had someone, right there with me, like doing the thing. And so that's huge, who you surround yourself with. And yeah, it will be one of the best things you will ever do for yourself. And even if, you, like my grandma, she drinks like at events, like she'll have one glass of wine at Christmas or Thanksgiving, like
Yeah.
whatever it looks like for you, even if it's just cutting way back. But I still think doing that will lead you to just quitting drinking completely, because once you can see what it feels like and how you feel and the confidence you gain with that, yeah, I think it will end up sticking. And I couldn't even imagine now, like, drinking again,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
and just like when I sometimes, like my family, they've always drank. It was normal. Like when I turned 21, I just like knew I was gonna drink, like they're all drink, they still are. And sometimes like going to family things and then, seeing what goes on once everyone's had a few drinks, and it's just, yeah, your perspective just changes a lot, and in a good way, I think. So yeah,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to tiptoe into it if you need to, or, you don't have to wait for that one bad thing to happen. Like for me, I had to make a decision, and it doesn't have to be that way. You can just kind of tiptoe in, give it 30 days,
Yeah.
60 days, whatever, and do what works for you. There's no one right way of quitting drinking. So
Yeah. I love that. What's one daily practice or mindset shift that's helped you stay grounded in sobriety and in peace?
mhm. I think the one thing, gosh, it's hard. Um, I think I just like to remind myself um, that my life is so much better now.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I look at myself 2 years ago compared to now and how much I've changed and grown, like I just remind myself of that often.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like to reflect on that a lot. And yeah, that's just, I think just reminding myself of how much better my life has gotten. It keeps me in that place of like, yeah, I made the right decision, and I have no desire to drink anymore because of that. Why would I want to go
Right.
backwards? And yeah.
No, I love that so much. It's like you're on track going up. Life is just going up. Why would
Hmm.
you choose to roll down the hill again?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
keep going up, keep your eye on the prize.
Yeah.
And like ultimately, I mean, what you are describing is like it's freedom,
Yeah.
freedom in yourself, freedom in your life, freedom in your relationships. And I love seeing that light for you. And it is like such an inspiration. And I pray that like people who are listening to this, like are led and inspired to do so and do the same. So thank you so much for being on the podcast today. I am so grateful for you. So if our listeners want to go and follow you and seek inspiration from you, where can they find you?
I'm mostly on Instagram at Kelsie Crampton, and then also on Facebook as Kelsie Crampton.
Perfect. And for those of you who are listening in your car, we will put her Instagram and Facebook handle in the show notes. But thank you so much for being on the podcast today. Like, I pray that this creates impact that you've been called to like share and make in the industry. Because I do believe that this is like a shift that I would love to see. And I know we're going to do more podcast episodes talking on this topic as well. I've had many people actually fill out podcast episodes wanting to talk about the removal of alcohol in the industry.
Good. Oh, that's exciting.
Just emphasizing this desire like so much more, which I love and have a personal pull to. I mean, my dad passed away from alcoholism when I was 25. And so if I could remove it, I would love that.
Yeah.
Give somebody their mom back and their dad back. Like,
yes, I know.
But, yeah. Thank you so much for being on here today. And guys, if you want to follow us on Heal the Industry, we have an Instagram account, heal_the_industry on Instagram. And we are going to be having a YouTube channel as well. So you can, if you don't want to just listen to the podcast, but you want to watch it, it's going to be on there as well. So thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for next week. And if you feel called or have a desire to be on the podcast, feel free to fill out the link in our show notes to be a guest on the podcast. So with that, I hope everybody has an amazing day, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.